Hi, my name is Katie Rush. I'm the Associate Director for the Kunkel Career Center at Penn State Harrisburg. I'm excited to meet with you today and tell you about our resources and also impart some tips and tricks to you on resume writing, networking, finding opportunities, cover letter writing, all sorts of things that will help you with your goals along the way. So let's get started. First, I want to share my screen with you, tell you a little bit about what Career Services does, and let you know how you can get connected to all of our great resources. Hi, my name is Katie Rush. I'm the Associate Director for Career Services here at Penn State Harrisburg. I work at the Kunkel Career Center with a great team of career coaches who work one-on-one with students to help them towards their career goals. I want to tell you first a little bit about what we do. I have some learning objectives for today. I want to make sure you understand the kind of resources we can connect you with, as well as provide you with some tips on resume and cover letter writing, a little bit more about networking and the resources we can provide, as well as to help you identify some skills that are needed for pandemic and post-pandemic work that are very marketable to employers, as well as opportunities to develop those, part-time jobs, volunteering, internships. So let's get started. Career Services does a lot of fun events. We're excited to someday have you on campus where you can actually attend our events in person, such as career fairs, workshops, networking. We also have a bunch of fun activities, some different things that will engage you in career development, but in a very fun way. They'll help you explore who you are, connect to your interests and your strengths, and learn how to leverage them in the workforce. We work one-on-one with students. I have a whole team of career coaches that will work with you individually, whether it's in person or remote. We will take time to get to know you and really uncover what your goals are. And if you don't know what they are, we'll help you to define them. We'll help you things like resume reviews, helping you to write a cover letter. We'll help you create a strong online professional profile on LinkedIn. We'll help you to articulate those career goals and create action steps to accomplish them. We can help you with skill building, teach you the art of small talk, help you to feel comfortable talking to employers, alumni, and how to leverage and create those contacts and relationships that will help you achieve your goals. We can also, of course, help to connect you with alumni and employers for work experiences, whether they be paid or unpaid, volunteer, internship, or eventually that full-time professional job. And of course, we'll teach you those strategies on how to find those opportunities. And if you're exploring your major or what you can do with your major, we'll help you learn more about career options and also what to expect for salary, or what are the workforce trends for your industry, what kind of opportunities are out there, and what jobs have the greatest opportunity for hire. But first, I want to talk to you about something I like to call beta testing. It's interesting that so many students are coming out to college thinking that they know what they want to be, but actually there's a lot more of you who don't know what job you want someday, or maybe you know what major you want, but you don't know what to do with that major. I like to let you know that it's very normal to feel this way, to feel uncertain, or to just not really be sure about where you want to head. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you figure that out. And beta testing, as I call it, is a way where you can practice or try out things. So, for example, you may want to get connected with some professionals in careers that you're thinking about pursuing to interview them, or get some career advice and mentoring. Build a relationship so that they can start to guide you and give you really helpful advice that will help you to be more successful in your field, or to learn whether that field's even for you. Additionally, you can get involved in fields through internships, volunteering, also through things like leadership programs. There are a bunch of programs designed for first and second year students to get to know a company, and they get to know you. And it allows you to either observe on site or do some different types of trainings that will allow you to connect with an employer, get a feel for the industry while learning skills and making connections. We can help you learn how to find programs like this. Additionally, we have something called MyPlan. I want to point that out here. If you visit myplan.com and you use this access code to create your free account, you can take some really fun free career assessments. Think of them as a career quiz. It will help you not only learn more about what major or career could be best for you, but you'll help you learn more about yourself. You'll learn more about your interests, your personality, your workplace preferences, your skills, and your values. And what happens is these different quizzes will examine those different areas and compile results for you that show what majors or what fields or jobs would be a really good fit for you. It will either reaffirm what you're already thinking or help you to explore and consider other areas. Once you take a test like this, a career quiz, you'll want to call our office and schedule an appointment with one of our career coaches. We have many different times throughout the different days that we can meet with you around your schedule. And it's important to know that we can meet with you remotely, virtually online, or in person. And it's nice because a career coach can look at your results and really help to further discuss with you what they mean and also how you can then further explore those careers that the exam is suggesting would be a good fit for you. We also want you to think about, of course, things like networking. Networking is so important. We have a lot of great resources available for you where you can start to build your network before you need it. I love saying that. Build your network before you need it because it's true. Students who wait to try to make connections in their field until they're in their senior year or ready to graduate don't have really good relationships that they can turn to that could lead to full-time employment. You want to start building relationships year one. If you're already in year 2 or 3, don't worry, we'll help you catch up. But it's important that you have a strong professional online presence. 94 to 97% of the recruiters we work with like to determine students' reputation or learn more about them through online searches. What better way than to control what they find than with a strong online professional profile on a place like LinkedIn? Again, 94 to 97% of our recruiters use LinkedIn for hiring purposes. They use it not only to learn more about potential candidates and to determine your reputation, but they're also looking to make connections with you. They can use it as a way to message you back and forth online or to keep you in their network list of contacts. So as they have opportunities become available, they could always look through those lists and potentially reach out to you. But also it's a great way for them to learn more about what you're capable of. You can upload samples of your work. You can upload photos of you on the job or volunteering in the community. You can add more information than maybe what would be in a resume, so the employer can see that. Plus, there's a great section called About You or Summary section where you can describe what you're passionate about. You can talk about your career interests and what kind of opportunities you're looking for. LionLink is another wonderful place to network. This is a Penn State specific networking site. LionLink is where very engaged Penn State alumni can be found. And they're the ones that want to give you career advice. They're ones that want to introduce you to others in their field. And it's a great place where you can really get some good career mentoring from someone who's in your field of study, someone who could potentially be in a job or working at a company that you want to be doing someday. So let's talk about a few things here. I already reviewed quite a few resources, which is pretty exciting. Before we shift and talk about skills that are needed right now, especially amid the pandemic, I want to showcase for you a few of those resources that I talked about. So for example, if we're looking at LionLink, that professional networking site for Penn Staters and Penn State alumni, this is it. You log in. It's very simple. You can create an account using Facebook, LinkedIn, your Penn State email address, or another private email. I've already logged in. I'm at the homepage in the Browse section here where I can search for different people I want to connect to. And it's really simple. You can search by course location, by what someone studied, what their industry is, but there's also more filters. Maybe I want to search by someone who works for a certain company that I've been dreaming of working for or interning for. Perhaps I want to maybe look up by topics. So maybe I'm interested in talking with someone who would like to discuss what it's like being an international student, or maybe they were an international student. I could also look by certain help topics. Maybe I need help in choosing my major. So I could select this to connect with people who are trying to give advice on how to choose a major. Maybe I would like maybe someone to review my resume. There's all sorts of topics that you can select and search by. But for this purpose, let's say I know what I want to do. Maybe I am studying computer science or information systems, and my dream is to work for Microsoft. I can put in Microsoft and I could choose to either search for people who have worked there and do work there, or are only currently at Microsoft right now. I hit apply, and it allows me to see different people who work currently for Microsoft. I could scan their titles to see if someone's working in a job that I would be interested in, maybe this information security engineer or the software engineer. But there's a lot of different people that we can look at. You can click on them if you want to learn more about their profile. This individual did go to Penn State for computer science, which is very helpful. Maybe we have a major in common. That would be something to mention. Additionally, they're willing to talk about diversity related issues. They'll give me a resume review, help me prepare for an interview, and they're really interested in talking about the engineering industry. So if I'd be interested in messaging this person, I would click message. The great thing about this program is it writes the message for you. You only have to customize it slightly. So if I want to connect with Stephen Yang about exploring careers, I would choose the career exploration template. It says, "Hi, Stephen. While browsing LionLink, your profile came up. I'm interested in learning more about your role as a software engineer. What advice do you have for someone considering a career as software engineer? I'd love to hear how you got into engineering and your challenges and successes. Looking forward to hearing any insight you're able to share. Thank you." And then it signs your name. All I have to do is hit send. And then this person receives my message and will hopefully write me back, and we can continue a conversation. If you have a good conversation going and you want to then ask them if they'd be willing to connect with you either over the phone or through a virtual Zoom or meet you for coffee to chat, you can request that. It's really great way to use this site to connect with professionals in your field and to start learning more about them. So take time to explore and click on these different people's profiles to learn more and try to maybe ask some specific questions based upon what you see. Again, we see this gentleman who works as an information security engineer has quite a history with Microsoft. It's fun because this person's been promoted from an intern up to a second level security engineer. He would be great to talk to about what it's like interning from Microsoft and to see if they have any tips on how to apply to be an intern. I love looking at the histories on some of these profiles because they give you a lot of great information about the individual you're hoping to connect with. And sometimes it even gives some fun personal advice, or personal information. But my best part here at the bottom is what they're always willing to help with. It's nice to see directly in front of you what this alumni, what this professional is willing to help you with, because it takes the scariness out of the ask. You don't have to feel bad asking to have them give you a practice interview or to give you advice on choosing your major. They already put it here as being willing to help you. So please try LionLink. You can simply Google LionLink PSU and you will find it. It's very simple. Another website that I mentioned very, very heavily is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional social media website. It is not like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram where you share a lot of personal information. Instead, you are sharing professional information. So you'll have a really nice headshot. You can customize your background to have an image of something relating to your industry and what you hope to do. You can add a summary about what makes you passionate and excited about your field, describing the things you feel you're strong at or your specialty areas of interest for your field. You can also describe what kind of opportunities you're seeking, whether it be an internship or a job, and encourage people to reach out to you if they just want to talk about your industry, things you're interested in. So when you're on LinkedIn, you can add some pictures of things you've done. You can also add your resume items. So all the different jobs you've had and some pictures if you have them to create that visual interest. Additionally, on LinkedIn, further down, you'll see there's a section where you list your education, you list your skills. You can also upload references, recommendations. So it helps to promote you as a professional. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the profile because you can connect with someone in my office to help you build your profile and teach you all these things, as well as how to use it. But I'm in here today just to show you how easy it is to network with LinkedIn. For instance, you can connect with alumni. Start looking at Penn State University. You can click on the Penn State University page and then choose to see the alumni. We have almost 500,000 alumni on here. So look at how many alumni there are. You won't have time to go through all those and message them individually to learn more about your field or to start to get some more information about emerging trends or just talk shop. So why don't we whittle this down? We need to narrow our search. You can use the search criterion here to narrow it. You can certainly choose to find a place that someone is living. Maybe you're really interested in perhaps eventually interning in the Washington, D.C. area. You can select to only focus on people in Washington, D.C. Because maybe you want to start to build that network before you need it. If you know your end goal is to work in Washington, D.C., maybe in finance, you're going to want to start to meet and connect with people who are already living and working in D.C. So I selected Washington, D.C. to focus my search, and we're now down to 25,000 alumni. Now, I could choose to focus on what company they work for. Maybe it's even accounting, right? Here's EY and Deloitte. What great companies. So maybe that stuck out to me. So I'm going to select Deloitte, and it looks like EY fell off, so I have to add it. You can add in any location, add in any employer. All right, so I have those selected. We're down to 329. I'm going to use my next set of criterion. See, this is helpful. If I was interested in consulting, I could click this. But remember, I was mentioning accounting or finance. Let's just pick one. Let's say I'm interested in finance. So I'm going to click finance. Now we have 43 alumni. That's, I think, enough. But if I wanted to continue my criterion further, I could choose what they studied, what their major was. Perhaps I'm more interested in risk management than general finance. Or I could also whittle it down to focus on skills. Maybe I'm someone who wants to work in Washington, D.C. for EY or Deloitte in finance and really utilize Microsoft Excel on a regular basis. I would probably then want to select that skill. But again, as I mentioned, 43 alumni is a smaller selection now from that 500,000. I think I would try to connect with as many of these as I can. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look at my results. You will notice below each person's name, it shares their title and where they work. So I can keep scanning these for things that are of interest to me. Let me take a peek here. I can look at their profile. I can read more about them, and I would try to find things that I have in common. So we already have a common interest with career, perhaps because I'm interested in doing financial advisory or risk analysis, right? So I can see that that's what they're doing for Deloitte. I see that they went to Penn State. Perhaps we have a similar major. And looking here, a lot of advanced Excel skill work, which is pretty exciting. Oh, but he's a runner, it looks like, which is pretty cool. So maybe we have that in common too. But it's always helpful to see what they might have in common with you, whether it be work related, career and major related, or also personally. So maybe you also like to volunteer at a elderly or senior home. Maybe you also like to run. Try to scan the person's profile before you connect with them so that you can mention the things you have in common. So when you go to connect, you always want to personalize it. You might want to say something like, "Hi, Mark. It's great to see a finance graduate on here from Penn State. I'm thinking about focusing my studies on risk management and would love or would like some advice from someone who's been there. By the way, I also like to run 5Ks. Let's connect Katie. Okay, you only have 300 characters, so you have to make it short. As you can see, I tried to focus on things we had in common. It's great to see a finance graduate on here from Penn State. I'm thinking about focusing my studies on risk management and would like some advice from someone who's been there. By the way, I also like to run 5Ks. And you can even add, something else like, pretty cool if you want, keep it casual. If you don't feel like you want to keep it that casual, that's okay. But try to draw attention to things you have in common. So what you could also do is you can make it sound even more like you can even make it sound more friendly by saying it's great to see a fellow finance major on here from Penn State. Okay, because if you're also studying finance major, it sounds nice to just make sure that it's very obvious you're also studying that, but also at Penn State, right? So keep in mind, you want to keep it short. You want to draw attention to the things you have in common, and you want to make sure that you give them an idea of why you want to connect. Remember, you're looking for some advice, and make sure that the ask is not too big. What I mean is, it's not too big or too imposing to ask someone to give you a little bit of career advice, but it is a bit much to ask someone to give you a lead on an internship or to ask them to recommend you to their company. They don't know you. That's too much to ask right from the start. So keep it focused on something small that they could respond to. And when you're ready, you hit send. Please remember, of course, that this person, again, doesn't know you, but because you have some things in common, they will hopefully be more likely to respond to you. But if they don't, it shouldn't hurt your feelings. Some people don't check their accounts as regularly as they should, or maybe they're just really busy at work right now. So that's why, again, I would connect with as many people as possible because not everyone will respond. So I would try to connect with as many of these as you possibly can. Additionally, you could try to search for people in jobs that you hope to have someday. So, for example, I mentioned before, maybe finance. So let's check a finance major or manager, finance manager. That's the job I want someday. Now you'll notice as you start typing, you have options of where to search. I could search for finance manager in people so that I can find people who have a finance major. So I can see that there's over 9 million. That's a lot. Let's use our filters to find the finance managers who went to Penn State. We're lucky, there must be a lot on here because Penn State already pre-filled, but I could always type it in here if it wasn't showing. So now I want to look at just the finance managers who are on LinkedIn who went to Penn State. I can hit apply. Wow, that's still 30,000. That's so many. So maybe we want to look by location. Again, maybe I want to connect with people who are in Pennsylvania because when you come here to Penn State Harrisburg, you're hoping at some point to intern in the area. So I can click Pennsylvania, or as you can see, that's still 10,000. That's a lot. So I am going to change that. I'm going to uncheck it and I'm going to get more specific. I'm going to do Harrisburg, PA. Perfect. Now we have 254. We can further refine this with other filters, maybe by certain companies or things like that. But I wanted to at least show you that you could search for people to network and connect with who are already in your dream job. People who can give you advice on what are the most hot demanding skills that you should be studying or perfecting. They can give you advice on perhaps what kind of classes to choose when you have elective options, or they can give you advice on perhaps what companies to consider interning with. Or they can help you get ready for those internships by giving you some advice on your resume, or maybe even be willing to practice an interview with you. But remember, before you can get to the point where you can ask them for help and things like this, you need to build a relationship with them and start a conversation. You can also start to look for recruiters. You can start to look for different types of people on here. So please think about connecting with career services because we would love how to teach you how to use these advanced features. I know it seems like a lot of information right now, especially if you haven't been on LinkedIn, but I need to give you a preview so you can understand how helpful and beneficial a website like this can be for you and your career. All right, let's go back to this PowerPoint here. We talked a little bit about networking. We talked a little bit about, again, how career services can help you with some of these things and the resources we have. There's even more to show, but right now I just want to remind you, we're in a unique time. A lot of us are working and learning remotely, and employers really need these kind of skills. They need you to be able to demonstrate that you have what it takes to work remotely. So think about the kind of skills that are in demand right now. There's always going to be soft skills like teamwork, communication, things like leadership, problem solving, critical thinking. Any employer values those. But what is unique about the pandemic is that skills such as time management, being able to work independently as well as part of a team, being self-directed and having that drive and ambition, having a really strong work ethic to get your work done, even though there's nobody there, maybe no supervisor on site to make sure you get it done. You have to be responsible to be able to do that yourself. You also need to be able to think creatively these days and also be very tech savvy. So think about those things and how you might even promote different skills than you normally would to show that you can thrive and survive in this online world that we are finding ourselves in. Plus, you need to think about the digital skills that are being valued these days. All these skills here reflect the world we're living and working in right now. Having experience with Zoom or online places, online services like Google Hangouts is really helpful, or Microsoft Teams. Do you know that Salesforce is a very valued system in the business world? And you can actually learn how to use Salesforce for free right now. You can Google that, learn Salesforce for free. That's a great skill you can learn that will set yourself apart, and it'll be in a very unique way. Additionally, you can also try to learn courses through linkedinlearning.psu.edu. As a Penn State student, you get to learn all sorts of things for free using LinkedIn Learning. And the best part is when you're done taking those free classes or certifications or tutorials, it publishes it to your LinkedIn profile. Remember that LinkedIn profile I showed you of mine? Well, when you use LinkedIn Learning, anything that you complete on there gets posted to your public profile on LinkedIn, which is a great way to boast about your new skills to employers. I know that there's a lot of cool things on LinkedIn Learning that might be of interest to you. For example, maybe you want to learn how to use an advanced Excel. If you want to be an advanced user of Excel, or you want to learn some basic HTML or coding. Maybe you want to learn SQL, or perhaps you want to learn Adobe InDesign, or you just want to perfect your leadership skills or communication skills. There's so many things on LinkedIn Learning that you can have for free, but there's other websites too, like Coursera, MITx, and things like that. So take advantage while we're in this digital world and working remotely to use some of our extra time to take classes to develop skills that will show to employers that we really are ambitious about our career, that we're doing extra work. Beyond our classroom learning, we're doing other kinds of learning to develop our skills further for their market. Great. Just to remind you, we're talking about what employers want and the kind of skills they're seeking. I want to let you know what the top influencers are for our employers. So when they look at our students' resumes, these are the things they're telling us matter most to them. These are the things, especially getting close to graduation, that they're looking for to decide, if they're going to hire you. So by the time you graduate, it's going to be very important that you get some sort of related work experience in your industry. That internship will make a difference. It is the most important thing that employers report influences their decision on whether to hire you. Oops, I jumped ahead, excuse me. In addition to having industry experience, your major you choose does matter. The major course is going to offer technical skills for your industry. Additionally, a leadership position is very important. So if you have the opportunity to get involved in a club on campus, or to be a leader in a class project, or a leader in the community with volunteering, our employers definitely look for leadership experience. They also value general work experience. General work experience is so important because general work experience brings all those soft skills I mentioned, like communication, teamwork, and things like that. Plus, it allows the employer to know that you've gotten some basic experience in customer service, working with a team. And so you may want to consider doing some sort of part time job near your home or also working part time on campus. And then GPA matters. I don't have to tell you that. I'm sure you know academics are really important, right? Academics are crucial. So please make sure you keep your GPA at 3.0 or above. It'll give you access to better opportunities. Plus, extracurricular activities our employers love to see. They like to know you're doing things beyond the classroom. They want to see you get involved, of course, in things like um, athletics or clubs and hobbies. They want to see you volunteer in the community, perhaps do some research or help faculty do research. Or they would even like you to get involved in doing some sort of project, self-learning, right? Remember those courses I talked about you can take for free. All that stuff enhances your profile for an employer. Okay. Additionally, employers want to make you aware of different timelines, different things. One of the things I'm going to go over next is where you look for all these opportunities. But first, one thing we haven't talked about yet, which is how you get these opportunities, is with that resume, right? Having a resume is so important. So let's just take a moment here and look at a sample resume. The resume is one of the first things that qualifies you for a job. It's one of the first things I should say that gets you that interview, that where you have the opportunity to convince an employer you have what it takes to do that job. So your resume has to be well written. Our office can work with you to help you get started. If you don't have a resume, we can give you something to help you get started and help you create it. We're absolutely happy to review a resume you have and see how we can make it even better. It's really important, though, that you connect with us so that we can review this before you start sending it out and sharing it with employers and professionals. The resume has different sections. As you can imagine, you need to have your contact information, your name at the top. The employer does need to know how to reach you. Additionally, you'll notice that there's no pictures on here. US resumes, they do not contain a photo. In fact, an employer would probably throw your resume out if it does have a photo because they could be open for discrimination. They could potentially be discriminating against you by gender or how you look, or race or age. So do not put a photo on your resume. We also want to point out that the resume is pretty plain. There's not a lot of other kinds of artwork or colors or different layouts. It's a very well-organized, kind of traditional and plain resume, but it works best for the software systems that the recruiters in the United States use. Some of the recruiters we work with utilize something called applicant tracking systems, otherwise known as ATS. Applicant tracking systems are software that scans resumes for recruiters. A recruiter will type information into a computer telling that system what kind of keywords or skills or requirements it's seeking in the candidates. And the ATS system will scan all the applicants' resumes for those keywords. And it will pull out the top, maybe 10, top 20 resumes that best match the qualifications the recruiter entered into the computer for the recruiter to then review those top 10 or top 20 resumes with their own eyes. So it's important, of course, that you have that kind of stuff, that you definitely take time to think about the way your resume is laid out, what kind of keywords are in there, and so forth. Okay? So now when we look at this, you always start off with an objective or a profile summary to tell the reader what you're looking for, whether it be a full-time job or an internship, and what specialty area of interest you are focused on. It shares your education, and it talks about what you're studying. It could also talk about specific courses that you've taken that are of high interest to the related field you're applying for. And then, of course, it has experience. And I like to list this more entry level, or share this entry level resume with you, because you'll see that the experience listed is volunteer or shadowing or observing. It's not even traditional work experience, and that's okay. Our employers appreciate any experience, whether it's paid, unpaid, volunteer, observation, or if it's something like a traditional paid experience. All they care about is the skills you use, the things you learn, the responsibilities you had. And so I want to make sure you're aware that you can list all types of experience in an experience section. And this is particularly helpful if you're someone who hasn't worked yet or who hasn't interned yet. If you have volunteered or you've done other things, maybe you were in a club that really highly relates to your major and you've done a lot of events with that club, we could potentially put that in experience. But we also have the option to put other experiences down below that maybe don't relate as much. And of course, any kind of activities or extracurriculars. Please know that if you think you don't have anything to put on a resume, you're wrong. There's always things we can highlight. And if you're a first or second year student, you can absolutely use some of the experience you've had from your high school days, the clubs you were in, the volunteering you did, maybe some shadows or internships or observations you did or part-time work. We can put that on a resume. But the goal is by the time you become a junior or senior, an upper level, more experienced student, we would take the things off from your high school days and we would just focus on what you've done college onward, because that's what most employers are going to care about upon graduation. What did you do in your college years until now? And so if we look at a more, let's say, experienced resume, you'll see how it gets more substantial and it develops. So once someone becomes a little bit more experienced, you've had more time in your academic career as a student to do more, then we will start focusing on highlighting those experiences, those internships in your field. We might have further related experiences that we highlight. These could be projects or experiences through class or through clubs. We also, of course, might highlight leadership experiences because maybe you're now an officer in a student club, right? So we have leadership experience. Maybe you're mentoring other students. So as you grow, you will continue to work with us at Career Services every semester, every year. We can help you to update these documents and help them to grow with you. Hope that makes sense. We also have, of course, resources like the ones I'm showing you here. We have a virtual online career guide where you can look through different examples of resumes. So you can pick different layouts, get ideas on different resumes for different majors. And of course, we also have in this guide sample cover letters. A sample cover letter is really helpful. I'm just going to show you a few highlights now of what a cover letter is and how you write one. But it's one page. It's one page only. It's a separate document from the resume. And if you notice, the resume does not have any references listed on it. References or people who can prove or attest or speak to your skills and your ability for the field, that's its own separate page, its own separate document too. But a cover letter is its own separate page, and it basically highlights your skills more in depth and how you are prepared and positioned to do the job or the internship well for this company you're applying to. It starts out at the top. We have, your address here, or you can put it below your name. It has the date written out in US style. It has the company name and address. And then you either address the professional by name if you know who's the hiring manager, like Dear John Smith, or you can write Dear Hiring Professional or Dear Hiring Manager. The first paragraph says why you're writing. Typically, it talks about whether you're writing to apply for an internship or a job. It lists that specific position, and it talks about where you found it. It's either you found it on a certain website, or you found it because maybe it was referred to you by someone who works there, or referred to you by a faculty member or Career Services. Then you talk about why you're interested in it, okay? What you like about the company and why you're drawn to them. It gives them an idea as to why they're a good fit for you and why you're really interested in them and how they connect with your personal or career goals. Then what you do is in the middle paragraph, you talk about how your education or experience has prepared you to do that job well. You're explaining how what you've done relates to what you will be doing. And it highlights certain skills, for example, interpersonal skills, time management, working with the team. So you want to make sure you're highlighting some of those skills that you read in the job ad that you know they need. And when you use actual experiences you've had to describe those skills or to prove you have them, it convinces the employer that you truly do have what it takes. You're not just speaking broadly about your skills or claiming to possess them. You're actually telling them about a time where you had a work or educational experience that used those skills in a way that would relate to how you'd use them on the future job. The last paragraph then, of course, just reiterates your interests, reminds them again why you're so interested in the position, and ask them to please contact you to discuss your qualifications further. Okay, so at the end, you'll sign off using a professional closing, sincerely, right? Because it's a professional business style letter. So you say sincerely and then your name. And please notice that this is a business letter format. There are no indentations at the beginning of the paragraphs. Everything is left aligned. There's only spaces between each paragraph. So this is going to be that business format that you're going to use. So again, please remember, we're here to help you with these. You don't have to figure it out on your own. We're happy to help you get started. We're happy to help you edit and critique and rewrite your cover letters, your resumes. We want to help you succeed. So please work with us so we can help you on these documents. Going back to the PowerPoint, of course, we want these documents so you can apply someplace with them. We want you to apply to internships and jobs. There's a lot of places you can look. Certainly in the United States, we like to use a lot of big job boards such as Indeed.com, LinkedIn.com, CareerBuilder.com, Glassdoor.com. But there's also a Penn State internship and job board. If you don't know about it, please visit it soon. NittanyLineCareers.psu.edu. This is where all the employers who work with us and faculty who have internships and jobs available, this is where they post them. And they're only visible to Penn State students and alumni. So employers who really want to hire a Penn State student will put their jobs on here. So please make sure you're logging in and checking that out. Everyone has an account already on Nittany Lion Careers. You might not have even known that. So when you go to NittanyLineCareers.psu.edu, you're going to log in with your network ID and password. So the Penn State network ID and password. And when you get in there, please make sure you update your account information. It's like personal, academic, and privacy, because once you update all that, then you can actually start searching for opportunities and you'll see a lot more things. If you are interested at some point in working on campus, this is the website for working on campus. There's a lot of jobs posted there, but I've also found it's beneficial to go around and talk to different departments and different offices face to face to find out if there's other openings coming available that haven't been posted on this website yet. You might uncover opportunities before they go public. Okay. I want to also mention there's so many great websites out there for remote opportunities. A lot of us are working and living and learning remotely these days. So one thing to think about is, instead of your traditional internship or job that's in person, perhaps you want to seek out a remote internship or remote job. These are some popular remote websites where there's opportunities specifically in the United States to work remotely. It doesn't mean you have to always live within the United States to do this work, but it's something to investigate. There are many, many more websites out there. We have a list of even more websites in this if you would like it. Just connect with our office. Lastly, I put this one in big letters so I don't forget to go over it. It's called Going Global. Going Global is a wonderful resource that Penn State pays for so that it's free for students to use. And Going Global, basically, let me find this website here. Okay, so Going Global is a website where you can look at opportunities in different countries, whether they be internships or they are jobs. The nice thing is, oops, excuse me, let me go back here a second. Let me try this out. Penn State Going Global. All right. Got to relog in with my Penn State credentials so it's free. And that's the thing. You always want to make sure you're logging in with the Penn State credentials to make it free. So give me a second here. All right, let me connect. So once you're here and you get to the Going Global site, you want to make sure you're seeing Penn State up here. Uh-oh, we disconnected here. I got to reshare my screen. My apologies. All right, there we are. We're back. Once you log into Going Global, you want to make sure that you can use it to your advantage to find opportunities, not only in your home country, but other countries. You can search for jobs and internships, but I like to use these career guides because if you are looking for opportunities in a specific country or specific city across the globe, you can use these career guides to learn what are the top companies in that city, or you can learn things like what are the resume expectations and guidelines? Because as you know, in different countries, there are different expectations for how a resume should look. There's also different job boards in different countries. So this is how you can find it. So for example, let's say we want to look at a city. We want to look for opportunities in Shanghai. So I'm using again from the career guides, I'm using the global city guides. I'm looking for the city of interest to me. I'm going to click on it. And again, as I mentioned, you can learn all sorts of information. So we can learn who the top employers are, who are the top companies. That's helpful. Maybe I want to focus on working for one of these big companies. I might have more opportunity. Or perhaps I'm interested in learning about the different employment trends and employment overview for that city. Okay, it'll give me a lot of different information. Perhaps I want to start applying and searching for opportunities. So I can look at the job search resources. I can find a list of online job boards that I can start looking through. All sorts of job boards here. I could look at internship programs, or I could look at opportunities for upcoming job and career fairs that I could attend. Maybe these are in person, maybe they're virtual, but it would give you a list. There's all sorts of different opportunities here. Remember though, as I mentioned, there's different expectations in different companies. So do not forget to look at this section where you can see sample cover letters, sample resumes, or guidelines on how to write one. So as you can see, I can click here and get a sample resume. Here it is in Chinese. As you can see, photo is optional. That's very different from the United States. I can also look at it in an English version. Okay. Again, this marital status and the information like date of birth or the sex or the ethnic group, these would not be included on a United States resume, but as you can see in China or in Shanghai, they do expect that. So these kinds of tips are really helpful. We also may want to consider looking at the interview advice, right? Looking at some tips on interviews because perhaps there's some different customs we might not be aware of. So it's important to look very closely at all these kinds of resources. Additionally, in the top portion here, we can look at country career guides. So perhaps we don't know what city we want to work in or intern in, but we know what country we'd like to maybe spend our summer in. We can start to learn more about these different places by clicking on them. And again, looking at the same resources to help us with our search. This is a great website. I hope you check it out. Back to the PowerPoint here. I have some other ideas. You know, it's a strange time. I mentioned it's always kind of nice to think broadly about opportunities, especially amid a pandemic. We might not all be searching for traditional in-person work, in-person internships. Remote is definitely an option these days. And especially with some of the more technical industries, there's a lot of opportunities. But don't forget about volunteering. Please think about other ways to still showcase and develop and use your skills in a meaningful way that employers will still value. You're still using those skills relating to your major, but in a very new way. So, for example, there's a lot of great remote online opportunities to volunteer. I listed a few before you, and I actually opened up a few of these websites to show you, but there's things you can do all over the world with your skills or the skills you're studying or trying to develop that have a meaningful impact and will really give you something to talk about in an interview or on your resume. So you can simply Google remote volunteer opportunities. That's how I found a lot of these websites. but I also have a big list of them if you would like them. Let me show you a few of these. So for example, Catch Fire, that was one of the websites I listed there. You can work on projects and from anywhere. And these are projects that are typically with nonprofit organizations. They're people who have a really good mission. These nonprofit organizations are working towards worthy causes, but they need professionals and students with skills to help them to accomplish their goals. So you can click Find a Project, and you can start searching by skills or by cause or the length of time that they need you to volunteer. But you can start looking through. Perhaps you want to work on the social media project, or maybe you're interested in doing a letter, writing a letter for a donor. Maybe you want to help with some event planning, marketing, or perhaps technical stuff. There's so many things, websites, illustrations, a lot of fun stuff. And look at, some of these only require a few weeks, some are a few hours, but there's all sorts of different projects you can get involved in. Another one that's really fun is the United Nations. So you can volunteer, again, very much skill-based or project-based. You can work with different organizations across the world, donating your types of expertise and skills. Again, you can look at all sorts of things that you can do, and you can click on these projects to learn more about what they entail. They also show how many hours per week. They talk about the different things that they need help with. You can click on these for more information and to get started. But there's so many websites like this where you can really start to really use skills in a meaningful way that will look like and be genuine experience to a future employer who's reviewing your resume that they'd be impressed by. So please think broader, please think more creatively about ways in which you can find experience these days. Additionally, another place to find opportunities, of course, is at career fairs. We had a lot of them this fall semester, and while they're over, we can still access a lot of employer contacts for you. So if you weren't able to attend these virtual fairs, we can always go back to our database to try to provide an introduction to you via email to an employer. We have more fairs planned for the spring. We have fairs planned virtually for our campus at Penn State Harrisburg, but also through University Park and some of the other campuses across the Penn State system. You can have access to all those fairs. So please keep watch for our emails, as well as look at our event on Engage. If you're not familiar with Engage, Google Engage, the @ symbol at Harrisburg. So you would actually Google Engage at Harrisburg. Okay, and when you do that in Google, you'll find this website and you'll log in with your Penn State network ID and password. This is where the student support service offices like myself, counseling, like student life, engagement, as well as all the student clubs and organizations put their information. So you can see upcoming events. These are upcoming events across the campus that you can participate in. Most of these are virtual these days, so you can zoom in from your home or apartment, but there's a lot of different events you can participate in. It's really fun. Additionally, I mentioned before, it's important to join extracurricular activities. So this is where you would look for what kind of clubs you can join at Penn State. We have a bunch of organizations here, so take time to look through. And if you're interested, you can then, of course, email some of the officers to ask for information about when the next meeting is. And like I mentioned, many of these are meeting virtually right now. So please take time to look through all these organizations. There's so many, 112. There's a lot of fun things you can be involved with. Okay. So in addition to this kind of stuff, like I mentioned, you're going to be wanting to look at different opportunities across multiple places for those internships, those jobs, those volunteering, the skill building. It's going to be an integrated approach. It'll be essential for you to work with our office, with our team, so that we can make sure that we're making you aware of the events that are going to be really important for you and your major, and especially your career goals, those career interests that you're going to find. So we'll make sure that you're aware of what's going on. Additionally, one last thought, We talked about how you need a resume and a cover letter to help you get an interview, right? Well, speaking of interviewing, you can also make an appointment with our career coaches to practice your interviewing skills. We can actually give you a practice interview, whether it's in person or remote. We'll ask you questions for your field, or if you want to pick out a company and a position, we can tailor the questions for that to give you practice. Or we can also make you aware of another service we have called Interview Stream. Interview Stream is a practice interview you can do from the comfort of your home or apartment using a webcam and mic. When you log in to conduct an interview, you can choose one that we've already made. We've pre-created a bunch of interviews with 10 questions for different occupations, different industries. You can search through and take one. If you don't like any of these areas of industry or interest, you can make your own. You can create your own interview based upon your interests. So perhaps you're interested in, let's say, marketing. I can look for marketing questions. So perhaps I'm interested in social media marketing. Okay, so I can drag a question over here if I'm interested in it. Okay, maybe I also want to ask myself some general marketing questions. I can actually make my own interview. When I'm ready, I would hit start my interview. And of course, it's going to do a check on my microphone and on my camera. And then what happens is someone like myself or another person who pre-recorded the questions is going to pop up on the video, ask it to you, and then you have 2 minutes to answer it. And it's being recorded in the system. And that's nice because you can actually watch your interview when it's done. You can watch the recording, see how you did, but you also have the option to send it and share it with someone at my office. Or if you prefer, you can send the link to a friend or a faculty member to give you feedback. But please use our services and send us the link. Request that we critique your interview. We can watch it and give you comments and ratings on each answer and give you tips and advice on how to improve. We will partner with you from start to finish to make sure you are prepared for anything you come across, whether that be having a strong resume and cover letter, having good networking skills to build those contacts before you need it, to learn different ways and places to search for opportunities, to successfully interviewing to land that internship or job, or if it's something else like maybe researching graduate school, if you need help applying to graduate school, or you need help with perhaps negotiating a job offer. We are here to help you each step of the way, but we need you please to get started by connecting with us first. We would love for you to connect with us soon. Request an appointment to meet with a career coach. You can request an appointment by emailing askforcareeradvice@psu.edu. I'm showing you on this screen because I realized the phone number got cut off, or you can call us at this phone number here. We would be happy to schedule an appointment for you today. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we look forward to helping you with your goals.